Well, hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 135 of our Get Your Goals Annual Challenge. This month we're focusing on our physical well-being, our physical health. And today is a topic I have spent literally 5 decades working on and using myself as my own science experiment to figure out what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And that topic is nutrition. Nutrition and our physical well-being, our physical health. What does our nutrition have to do with that? And I found for me personally, nutrition has probably the biggest impact on my energy, my weight, my health, my stamina, my ability to do things, and to stave off illness, etc., and pain, all of those things. And we don't necessarily think that. We just, we grow up thinking that we should follow the food pyramid and we should do what the scientists say and what we learn in school, but we really don't ever spend a whole lot of time and energy learning about nutrition and how different foods and things affect us. And I've had a couple of lessons, and I think I'm going to try to share them here today, that had a huge impact on me and my physical, literally my ability to get out of bed. But what kind of nutrients, what are we talking about when we're talking about nutrition? There's 6 key elements that we need as human beings in order for our bodies to physically function. Those are, and I'm going to take a peek at my list so I don't miss any: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and water. Now, we talked about hydration and water yesterday, and tomorrow we're going to talk about supplements, because our food supply has changed dramatically, at least during my lifetime. Now they're going back to more farm to table things, but a lot of our foods don't have the nutrients that they used to, and it's important that we get the vitamins and minerals and nutrients and the waters and hydration, not contaminated, that we need in order to sustain and for our bodies to thrive. And again, that exact combination is a little bit different for each and every one of us. I can't eat the same things that my son or my son-in-law eat, or number one, I'd weigh 500 pounds, but I also need different nutrients because my body performs and acts and uses those nutrients differently than other people's do, right? Yeah, there's some commonalities in all of us as humans, but we have to figure out what works for us. I'm going to share a couple of tips on how to do that, but I guess I want to share a couple of stories about how we want to continue to use and experiment and figure out what works for us. A couple of years ago, I think it was, it's more than that now, it was 2017. I was traveling, and all of a sudden, I had such severe inflammation in my hips and my knees and excruciating pain. And I got home after this trip. I was actually out visiting my daughter and her husband in Colorado. And I don't know if it was the altitude, the flying, or what, but something really triggered. And I've had inflammation a lot in my lifetime. I was sick when I was younger, but for some reason it was debilitating, and I ended up bedridden for like a few days. And now in my 20s I had some health challenges, and I was bedridden for a couple of years, and I decided that that wasn't going to happen this time. So I got online, even though I was miserable, and started searching for solutions. Ended up asking a friend who was a nurse, and she told me about eating for my blood type. Now you might think, and I kind of thought, okay, could that really make a difference? And the doctors were trying to give me steroids and things, which were actually making me worse, and it made my symptoms far worse, so that it was even harder for me to get out of bed. And so I thought, well, I'm going to at least research this and give it a shot. And so for the next 2 weeks, I researched. I got blood testing, tested my blood, and my kids and whoever else would let me vampire test them. And we learned about the impact of eating for your blood type. Well, it turns out, because of my heart and other challenges, I was picking and choosing foods that I liked, that I thought were good for my heart, that were good for my physical well-being, that were good for weight loss, etc. But 90% of those foods were anti my personal blood type. So what they were doing is my blood and my body was treating the majority of what I was consuming nutritionally as poison. And that was making me sick and more bedridden. And so I was seeing the rheumatologist, and I was seeing my nephrologist, and it turns out that just after a couple weeks of cutting out all those foods that were bad for me and focusing on the ones that were good for me and my blood type, I was out of bed like in 3 weeks. It was about 2 weeks of eating that way, and I still had pain, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was just gone in 2 weeks, but I was able to get up and function and go to the bathroom and things like that. So to me, that is one example of something nutritionally that worked for me. And it's funny, but I do pay a lot more attention now to how different foods and different things impact me. If I eat a lot of sugar or a lot of processed foods, I feel miserable. They taste good going down, but they don't act very well in my body. If I consume different things, and as a result of this, I literally, and I was a coffeeaholic, gave up coffee for 5 years. And then I found out, because I thought that coffee was bad for me, then I found out that for my particular blood type, coffee is actually beneficial. So guess what? I started drinking coffee again. Didn't have headaches. My joints and my energy was much better. I don't drink a lot, maybe a couple cups of coffee a day max. I used to drink 2 pots a day. That was bad for me. But it's just an example of how we need to pay attention to and listen to our own bodies and how different things and different nutrition impacts us. So what's our action item today? We're just going to rate ourselves on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being awesome. I pay attention to everything and how it impacts my body with respect to nutrition, what goes in, garbage in, garbage out, fuel. I have come to learn, and I learned this from my brother-in-law, Jeff, food is fuel. Food isn't an emotional tool or a crutch, which it was for a lot of years for me. Food is how we get the energy that our body needs to do the things that we want to do. So scale of 1 to 10, I would give myself a 5. I wish I was higher than a 5, but and I'm going to blame the pandemic and all kinds of craziness and some other challenges that I've been having personally for it only being a 5. But now that I know it's a 5 and I'm not doing great with respect to nutrition, I can choose to set a goal to change and improve that. So just on a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself, hey, I don't know anything about nutrition. If you would have asked me in 2010 about nutrition, I would have given myself a 1, maybe a 0. Between 0 and 1, it would have been definitely a very small number. Learned a lot, done a lot over the last several years, but I also know that there's always room for improvement, continuous improvement. So just share your rating. You just share a number, and nobody cares except you. But it's important to me, and it's important to you to know where you're at and decide. Maybe you don't care about your nutrition right now. Maybe you're super duper healthy and young, and it's not a problem for you. I guarantee when you get to be my age, you'll wish you'd paid more attention to it when you're younger. I know I did. All right, any questions, hit me up. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow. I think I hinted that we're going to talk about supplements and supplementation and the importance of that. Again, we're going to use ourselves as our own science experiment for that topic as well, which there's a theme running through this, right? We need to understand and know ourselves to the best of our ability because nobody else is going to do it for us. All right, have an awesome day, and I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.